Hey, what's up everybody? In this video, I'll be sharing with you exactly how you can go from $0 to $10,000 a month in high ticket sales within 47 days. Now, if you're thinking that sounds absolutely way too good to be true, right, bear with me here. I'm not sharing with you a get rich quick scheme. What I'm going to be sharing is a proven framework that I've used, I've helped many others use to start closing their first $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 deals from their bedroom. Right? And the best part about this is that you don't need any prior sales experience. You don't need to be cold calling hundreds of people a day, right? And you don't need to invest thousands of dollars as well. So if you're looking to generate some true income, time, location freedom, right, then stick with me until the end because you're going to gain a real insight. Let's get into things. So first of all, who am I? My name is Jules Zissimo. I've been in the space of high ticket sales for just under a year now, and during that time I've closed almost $1.5 million in cash for some of the biggest info product services and businesses that you see out there. And I've scaled my income from making $0 all the way up to $35,000 a month online. And during this time, as of recently, I've started High Ticket Hunters, which is a group, a community of people, right, where I teach them, and this is typically 9-to-5ers, how to leave their 9-to-5 and get into the space of high ticket sales, start earning $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 a month remotely, and be able to have that sort of income freedom that they're looking for. Right? And if you're confused as to what high ticket sales is, right, let me tell you this. Right? The world has completely changed. Companies are now looking for skilled remote closers. You can close $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 deals from absolutely anywhere. And the beautiful thing about closing is that you just need a few sales to make some serious money. Right? Imagine this. You can sell a $10,000 product, right? And if you're earning 10% commission off of that, which is the industry standard, that means that for every sale that you make, you earn $1,000. That just means that you need to make 10 sales a month to earn $10,000 a month. Now, if you compare that to some other traditional ways of making money online, like e-commerce, for example, where you're selling a $50 product, you will need to sell hundreds of that product just to earn the same amount. And we're not even factoring in things like inventory cost or shipping. Now, the thing that makes it a lot better is that this is a legitimate profession, right? You're not building a business. You don't have any employees. You don't have inventory or marketing cost. You're essentially getting paid extremely well for one high income skill that you'll be learning. You're like a specialized contractor. The businesses will provide the leads, they'll provide the marketing. All you have to do is come in and close and get paid a fat commission check off of it. And you can do this from absolutely anywhere. Right? You can do this from a coffee shop, you can do this from your bedroom, you can do this from a beach in Bali. I've been closing deals consistently from England, Romania, Switzerland, Greece, the US. As long as you have Wi-Fi and a laptop, you can start printing. And the companies that you'll be working for are actively looking for skilled and talented closers. Right? So they've got a bunch of leads coming in and the offer's already dialed, right? It's already working, it's already providing testimonials and providing people with some sort of good transformation. They just need people who are going to be able to hop on these calls and make the prospect or help the prospect make the right decision. So you're not building anything from scratch. You're stepping into a proven system and developing a high income skill that will help you get paid better. So what I want to do is break down the exact 47-step framework that is going to take you from $0 all the way up to that $10,000 a month within that time frame. So number one will be phase one, right? That's day 1 to 15, which is the foundations and skill development part. This is where you're going to be learning all the foundations that you need about high ticket closing, right? You're going to be choosing a niche and you're going to be getting trained on the exact sales framework that actually works for online sales. Now, phase two is days 16 to 31, which is all about getting your first closing position. This is where you're going to be going out there looking for roles, applying, interviewing. You're going to be getting your first role, starting to take your first sales calls, and then closing your first deals as well. Now, phase 3 is going to be the last days, right? So day 32 all the way up until day 47. This is where you're going to be optimizing things, right? You're going to be scaling to $10,000 a month. We'll need to then optimize your call volume, right? We need to increase it. We need to optimize your closing rate, right? So that you can consistently hit $10,000 because we want to be doing this consistently, not just one time. So I'm going to be walking you through each phase step by step. But here's the key, right? You have to actually execute on this. Knowledge without action is completely worthless. So let's get into it. Okay, so phase one, the first thing that we're going to have to be doing is going to be choosing your niche. So there are many different types of high ticket offers that you can jump on. There are so many different industries, and these guys require closers that are closing deals from anywhere from $5 to $15, sometimes even $50,000. First one that you can do is business coaching and consulting. Right? These are usually 7 to 15K packages, right? Teaching people how to start a business or maybe scale one that is already existing. The next one is health and fitness, right? So these are transformation packages, right? Teaching people how to maybe lose weight, how to gain a six-pack, right? How to maybe put on weight. These programs are anywhere from $3,000 to $12,000. Third one is agency services and coaching, right? These are marketing agency training services, SMMA training services or programs that would maybe help business owners to gain more leads or help them with their marketing. So anywhere from $4,000 to $9,000. And the last one will be info product and course programs, right? These are high ticket courses on various topics, and they would range anywhere from $3,000 to $12,000. These topics really vary, right? You can be going on a program that teaches women how to knit. It could be one that teaches people how to start a TikTok shop. It could be people teaching them how to stop masturbating, right? Or teaching men how to stop drinking, right? So the topics are really, they vary like a lot. Now, my advice when it comes to picking a topic that you would like, it's really just to pick something that you have some sort of experience in, right? Or if you don't have experience in any of these, something that you'll be interested in, because you'll be spending a lot of time every single day having conversations around these. So pick something that you'll be interested in. If you're interested in health and fitness, go with health and fitness as a niche, and then you can start scaling. If you have no idea, just go for a typical info product or course programs, because they are, I think the majority of programs out there are info product programs. Now, week number 2, this is mastering the fundamentals. Now, once you've chosen your niche, it's actually time for you to start learning how to actually close deals. So here's what you need to focus on. Number 1, you need to understand the sales psychology, right? You need to understand why it is that people buy high ticket offers, right? It's never really about the features or the deliverables or whatever it is that you're offering inside. It's always about the transformation. Somebody doesn't buy a $10,000 course because they want, the weekly calls or the course itself. They really just want to go through all of those things, right? They're buying for the result that those things will be able to provide them in life. Maybe it's that financial freedom. Maybe it's the ideal body they've always wanted. Maybe it's buying back the time that they've lost over time. It's all about what the course itself or the delivery will be able to give them in terms of an outcome. Number 2 is figuring out the high ticket sales framework. There is a specific framework for a MOOC, and I'll be going through it here with you briefly. Number 1, right, it's the discovery portion of the call. This is where you're going to be understanding why it is that they're on a call with you, why they believe that they need help, what exactly is the problem that they're facing in their life, in their work, in their business that is reaching the point where they need to reach out and get some help from somebody else. Once you figure that out, essentially we get to the phase of where you're figuring out why it is that they haven't made a change up until now. We need to get some sort of limiting belief out of them. A lot of people will throw excuses like they don't have the time, they've never had the money, right? They've always been busy focusing on X, Y, and Z. It's never been a priority for them. But that's why it's super important in discovery phase for you to get their goal and to understand how long they've had that goal for. And the phase that we want to get into, right, that will be the main bulk, right, is getting that limiting belief, right? Maybe that they never believed in themselves before, or they thought that they were never somebody who's worthy of achieving their goal, and shattering that limiting belief. Making them understand that limiting belief is going to be the thing that always limits them in terms of them actually going out there and getting the result that they're looking for. So once we can shatter that limiting belief, we then move on into sharing with them, right, and helping them understand what it is in terms of lifestyle that it would look like if they got to remove that limiting belief and actually achieve their goals, right? So understanding and painting that picture as clear as day, figuring out exactly what they would do with the newfound time, money, or freedom that they got from shattering that belief and actually achieving their goal. After that, we go into the cost of inaction. What would happen if they don't shatter that belief, if they continue to let that belief grab a hold on them? What would life look like 10 years down the line if they don't make a change? Once they understand that and they're primed, we then go into presenting exactly what the offer is, and then we handle objections. Now, this typically goes on for around 45 to 60 minutes, right? Sometimes it can go a little bit longer. Right? There can be times where it can be a little bit shorter, but that is the rough time frame. And then the third thing is just practice, practice, and practice. You're going to need to be role playing a lot. You're going to need to recording your calls, going back through them, figuring out what worked, what didn't work. Find a friend, find a family member, find other closers who are inside the space. Join maybe a free community, or if you're already inside one and you want a little bit more help, join something like High Ticket Hunters, where you can find other people who are maybe further ahead than you, so that you can practice together, right? Record yourself, watch yourself back. You're going to be cringing at how bad you are. Trust me, I used to cringe at the beginning, right? But it's going to be helping you in terms of figuring out what you've done well and what you maybe haven't done the best, and what you need to iterate on in the next periods. I want you guys to be focusing on this. All in all, you should be spending around 1 to 2 hours every single day, right? Understanding the sales psychology, going through the high ticket sales framework, and also practicing with others, right? Practicing common objections that will come about, common excuses that people will throw at you for not having made a change in the past. You need to practice, practice, practice. Now, phase 2, this is where you're going to be getting your first closing position, right? So the first portion of that is finding companies that are actually looking for closers. So now that you have the skills, you have the framework down, right? You've practiced and you're continuing to practice. It's time to find these closers. And you can do this in a couple different ways. The first way that I would say that you can do this is by going and looking on job boards or platforms, right? So these will be places like Upwork. You can search for high ticket closer or remote sales closer. You can go on LinkedIn and search for the same thing as well, or you can go on Facebook groups. So there are tons of Facebook groups where there are closer specific groups where people are posting jobs in there, and then there are a lot of closers in there that are applying for positions as well. What I will say as a caveat here is that it will be tough looking for roles through here. You will find a lot of bogus roles, a lot of roles that you really shouldn't hop on, right? The offers aren't specific enough. They're not proven, right? They don't have any results. Maybe the offer owners aren't the best. The offer itself is shite. That's just the reality of things. And you'll be having to do a lot of volume and a lot of searching to find really good ones, but they do exist. Next way is to directly outreach to offer owners or sales managers. I would say this is probably a better way of doing things than the first, but this is 100% much harder. I say this because majority of people will be trying to do it this way. They'll be going out on places like LinkedIn or Instagram and finding influencers, people who have a big following, people who look like they're selling a course, and reaching out to them directly. These people are getting hundreds of messages every single day from potential wannabe closers, and they're all saying exactly the same message. So for this, you've got to really stand out. And what that means is that I don't want to see messages like, hey, are you looking for closers? Or, hey, do you have a fitness coaching program? Because everybody knows that once you're asking that, you're not asking that because you want to join the program. Otherwise, you would have just led with that. You're asking that because you want to close for the program. And other things like, hey, my name is Liam and I'm a remote commission-based closer. If you give me just 1 minute, I can share with you exactly. No. All of these are overused, stinky messages that won't get responses. Instead, I want you to be super creative. It's a necessity for you to be super creative. Otherwise, you won't get any answers and you'll be just left unseen. I'll be sharing with you one way that I did things. Now, granted, this isn't how I did things to land my first sales position. I actually just paid to enter a mentorship, exactly like the one that I'm doing right now. And that offered me a lot of positions that I could see without me having to do a lot of outreach. But this is the method that I used around 6 months ago when I started my own sales agency, because I scale offers as a sales manager. This is the method that I used to actually outreach and get onto interviews with some of these people without having to run ads or without having to do like loads of other stuff that are a little bit more difficult, right? So this is how I got creative. As you can see here, I said, hey, what's up, man? We haven't met, but I saw that you sell something that I'm familiar with. Would you be curious to have the scripts and samples that I used to sell $300,000 in credit repair services? Because he was selling a credit repair service offer. So what I did is that I led with value, and I actually created a specific script for his offer, and I recorded a mock call of me closing somebody with that specific script that I was ready to send to him if he asked. Because of this, the conversation led on, and that led to us having a meeting. It didn't end up following through, right? His offer was not as qualified for what I wanted. However, right, because I got a lot more creative with my messaging and I led with value, not just looking to take, right? That led me to having a lot more meaningful conversation. Now, you can take this message and run with it, right? But I would suggest that you get a little bit more creative, find ways in which that you can offer value based on the things that you've learned in terms of the framework, in terms of the objection handling, in terms of the objection prevention, right? And excuses that people would give, in terms of you understanding how a sales call goes. Build some value that you could potentially give to these people for free, right? And then see if they resonate with the value that you've provided, and if they would want to get a little bit more insight as to how you can help change their business. The third and last thing, and this is probably the easiest way that you're going to be able to do things, is to network in communities. If you have some money to spare and you want to fast track your way, enter into a paid community, something like High Ticket Hunters, where you can find jobs, right? Because I have a whole job board of 20, 30 roles that are not found on LinkedIn. They're not found in Facebook groups where you can apply to directly, and you have a high chance, a high likelihood of getting these roles because they've come from my own network, right? But if you don't have money, because not everybody has money to be able to invest into their education or into this, then join a free community. Get networking with a bunch of other closers, a bunch of sales managers, provide value that way, right? Go into school, try to find if you can find some other free communities there, some free Facebook groups, some groups on, I don't know, on Telegram, on Tumblr, on LinkedIn, whatever it may be, but just get networking, right? Because this would allow you to get the roles that are potentially not out there on the market and being marketed at all. The goal that we have here is that within the days of 16 to 21, you need to outreach to at least 50 to 70 different companies, offer owners, sales managers, or opportunities. Not a week, not during that period, a day. Right? And if you're not willing to actually put in the hard effort to do that, then there's no point of you watching the rest of this video, because you are going to fall drastically behind. Now, once you've outreached to a bunch of different companies, a bunch of different sales managers and stuff like that, right? And you've had a conversation and you've had some interviews, right? When you're going to be getting onto these interviews, you've got to remember that they're not just interviewing you, you're also interviewing them, right? So here are the things that you need to find out. You need to make sure, number one, what is their product or service price point? You want this product or service to be at least $3,000 or more, because if you're earning 10% commission off of this, at $3,000 it's $300 per sale. Anything less, then it's not really worth your time or your expertise. The next thing that you need to figure out is what is the average close rate of their current closers. If they have a closing team already, to have some closers on board, we need to make sure that their close rate is at least 20 to 25%. If you come onto a team where the closers are only closing 5 or 10%, then there is something wrong with the sales management there, right? They're picking really bad closers, or there's something wrong with the offer itself, right? Where the offer doesn't provide enough transformation or provide enough trust or value for people to want to buy the service. Third thing is, what's the commission structure? Right? You want at least 10% for high ticket. You don't want people to be ripping you off. The only way that people can pay you less than 10% per sale is if that price point of their product is super elevated. If they're selling only $50,000 products, then cool, you should be okay with having 8%. Fourth thing is, how many calls would you realistically be able to take per week? You've got to understand whether this is a full-time role, whether this is a part-time role, whether it's just one call a day that they would have because they don't have a lot of marketing. Also, what time zones will they be selling in? Will it be US time zone? If so, is it Eastern, Mountain, Central, Pacific? Is it UK time zone, European time zone, Australian time zone? It all differs, and it will be very important in terms of you planning out your life as well. And the last thing is, what kind of training or support do they provide? Right? Is there a sales manager there? Do they have weekly huddles or daily huddles where you can jump in and you can get advice? All of this is incredibly important. And also, I forgot about this, right? Are the leads warm or are they cold? As in, right, are these people that you would have to be calling yourself and building interest for the product, or are these people coming directly to you and finding you either through organic means or maybe through ads? You would ideally, especially as a beginner, want to work with warm leads. Now, when you're looking for a company, these are the things that you should be looking for. You should make sure that the company has warm inbound leads. So these are people who have already expressed some sort of interest. They're looking for the company, they're looking for the transformation, they're looking for whatever product that you provide. Not that you're going out there knocking on doors or calling them up, cold calling, and trying to garner that sort of interest. The next thing is that you're looking for a proven offer that converts. Right? So they should ideally have at least a 20% close rate or more. The more the merrier. And the more warm the leads are, the more the close rate should ideally be. Third thing is that the commission structure should be at least 10% on those $3,000 to $15,000 deals. Anything more is great. Anything less should be a little bit of a red flag. And you should make sure that they're really supportive and they have a good team culture that is centered around training and helping people on their team. It's going to be incredibly important for you to have a team that can help train you, especially at the beginning when you're starting off your journey. What I want you to do is not just to take the first offer that you see, right? Interview 2, 3, 4, 5 different people, figure out the scene and find what best fits you, because every single offer is different. Every single way in which they train is different. The whole teams are different. The commission structures are different. What they're offering is very different as well. So you've got to make sure that this is something that aligns with you morally, and it makes sense also in terms of the money that it could provide you, the freedom that it could provide you, the times that you'll be working, the close rate, and everything else. And everything in between, really. So once you've landed your first role by day 26, right, we move on into taking your first sales calls, right, and getting your first closes. Right? This is where everything gets real. You're essentially going to be taking your first few sales calls, and I'm not going to lie, you're going to get very, very nervous. It's probably going to be very, very rough. Those first calls, you're going to be sweating. You're going to be feeling like, oh, I'm not good enough to do this. Right, you're going to forget parts of your script, parts of the framework that you've learned. You might even fumble through some of these closes, but that's completely normal. Right? I bombed a lot of my calls, right? But here's what you have to do to make sure that you can continue to do well. Number one, you've got to record every single call. Now, I'm not sponsored by them, but I would highly suggest that you use something which is called Fathom AI. I would also suggest that you pay for their paid service, which is around $15 a month. With this, right, you will be able to record every single one of your calls, right? It will be in a hub online where you can actually go in, you can watch all of the calls. Right? There will be segments, there will be notes taken as well. And because it's an AI, you can ask Fathom what happened at certain parts of the call. Right? So what objections did the prospect give me? How did I pitch? Where did I pitch? Give me the time frame that I pitched in. You can ask it a bunch of questions exactly like you would ask ChatGPT. The next thing that I want you to do is take notes after reviewing all of your calls on what went well and what didn't go well. Right? You've got to critique yourself properly. Right? You've got to critique yourself and be honest with yourself as to, this didn't do the best. I didn't get enough pain out of this person here. Right? I didn't paint the future position as well as I should have. I didn't handle that limiting belief as well as I should have. Next thing that you should do is to ask for feedback from your sales manager or your mentors, or other closers on your team that are closing better than you are. If you don't have a sales manager or a mentor, right, go into these groups, paid, unpaid, it doesn't matter. Find somebody who's doing what you want to do at the level that you want to be doing and ask for feedback. This is the way that you're going to be able to iterate and get better and better and better over time. And then you just continue to make adjustments. Take all of the advice that you're given, right, with a sane mind and continue to improve on things. By the end of this first week of hopping on calls, you should be taking around 5 to 10 calls and aiming to close 1 or 2 of these deals, right? If you have a deal that's worth $8,000 and you make 10% commission off of that, that's $800 in your pocket. And if you just close 1 of those in that week, it's fantastic, right? But more importantly, you've proven to yourself that this actually works, right? So the goal within those days is to close at least 1 or 2 deals and get more comfortable being on these calls, having these sort of conversations live with a real prospect. And now phase 3 will be scaling to $10,000 a month. Right, so the first part of phase 3 will be increasing your call volume. So if you've closed the first deal or 2, it's now time to scale. Right? So your goal during this week is to increase your call volume completely. Right? Number 1, talk to your company about getting more leads onto your calendar. Typically, what companies will do is that they'll take you through what we call a ramping up stage. So at the beginning, they'll put a few calls onto your calendar just to make sure that you're primed, that you're in tip-top condition, right? Just to help you understand the framework that they may be giving you, help you understanding the pitch and getting to grips with the conversations that you'll be having. But once you've closed your first few deals, Try to get ramped up as quickly as possible. Ask your sales manager, hey, can I take more calls, right? If you're able to take more calls, then make yourself available for more calls. Open up your calendar a lot more, right? If you had only 5 or 6 calendar slots available, have 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10 slots available on your calendar so that they can really pump your calendar full of calls. I want you to remember this, right? If you've got 20 closes with a product that you're selling that's $5,000, so you're making $500 per sale, right? 20 times $500, that's $10,000 a month. That should be your target. And then after this, the next step of things, and optimize your close rate. Now that you're taking a lot more calls, we need to close a lot more of the deals that are presented to us on our plate. And this is how you do things. Number one is by identifying certain patterns in your losses. So you got to ask yourself, whenever you lose a deal, right? Was it that I didn't handle this objection properly? Was it that I didn't pre-handle the objection properly? Was it that I didn't shatter the limiting belief properly? Why am I closing the deals, right? What is it that they're coming and saying to me at the end of the call? Are they saying that I don't have the money, right, and I'm not handling that properly? Are they just going in and saying that I have to think about it, right? What is it? What is a pattern that you're seeing within majority of your losses? Number two would be mastering objection prevention. Right? This is probably the most important part of the call. Figuring out what kind of objection that they would have before that comes at the end. Figuring out what sort of limiting belief that they've had and they've held on to that have stopped them from taking action in the past. These are typically things like them thinking that they don't have the money to invest in themselves. That's why they never have done. Thinking that they don't have the time, or coming up with any other sort of excuse, and shattering that limiting belief. Them thinking that they're not good enough. Them thinking that they're not worthy of achieving this. Them being afraid of failing, which is why they've never taken any sort of action. If you're not good at this, right, you're going to lose a lot more deals for it. Right? So to optimize your close rate, that would be one of the most important things that you've got to do. And after that, it's now time to start hitting those $10,000 a month. These last 4 days, everything will be basically coming together. Right, so now you're taking roughly 10 to 12 calls per week. Right, you're closing at a 30 to 35% rate, and you're making $300 to $800 per close. Now that depends on whether you're closing a $3,000, $5,000, $8,000 program. So let's do the maths. You will be then getting 3 to 8 closes per week because of that 30 to 35% rate. If we do the maths on that, 6 closes per week, $500 average commission, that's $3,000 per week. Okay, $3,000 per week. If we times it out by 4 weeks, if my math serves me correctly, that's actually $12,000 per month. Right, so we've got some wiggle room. Essentially what that means is that you've hit your goal. But here's the thing, this doesn't mean that you get to sit there and gloat and rest on your laurels. Right, and just coast. The best closers, they are going to be continuing to improve, continuing to iterate, and continuing to optimize. Right, so with this, you would have then proven that this model works. Right, you've proven that you've done this, that you can do this, and then you've gone from $0 to $10,000 in 47 days by developing this one high-ticket skill. And the best part is that this skill, it's portable, right? So you can do this on one offer, you can do this on 2, 3, 4, and you can go from offer to offer to offer. You can switch companies, you can switch niches, right? You can negotiate better closing deals, right? So you can do commission plus a standard rate. If you want, you can raise the commission as well, right? You are a professional closer now. Right, but before we wrap up, I do want to go through some common mistakes that I see a lot of new closers going through. Number one, the biggest mistake that I see people doing is giving up after their first few rejections. As human beings, we only ever have money or time to invest in ourselves, right? And if you don't have the money or the resources, you're going to have to take a lot of time to reach out to a lot of different companies. And with that, that means a lot of people are going to be rejecting you. You will hear no a lot more times than you'll hear yes. That's not just with getting roles or getting onto interviews or then getting the role itself, but it will also be on these calls. Right, if you have a great closing rate, which sometimes in some industries is around 50%, right? That's fantastic. That just means that 50% of the people are also just rejecting you, right? Which is considered really good, right? So you got to keep that in mind. Number two, the biggest mistake that I see people doing is not tracking their numbers, not tracking their close rate, not tracking the rejections that they get, not tracking the objections that they get, not tracking the types of closes that they're doing well in. If you have no idea of your numbers, you don't know how many calls you've taken, you don't know how many of them you've closed, the common objections that are happening at the end of the call, then you have no way of actually iterating on what is bad or doubling down on what is good. Third biggest mistake is working for companies that have bad offers. might have really bad commission structures where the sales managers are just not adept in terms of training. Right? The offer itself is only making $10,000 a month, so you really can't be earning anything less than $1,000. There is no marketing, there are no leads coming in, the leads aren't the best, they don't have money. This will just waste your time, and believe me, so I've worked on a couple of bad offers and just lost out on weeks of my time and loads of potential cash as well. Fourth mistake is not investing in your skills. If you want to get to somewhere and you want to get to somewhere fast, the best way that you can do so is by hiring somebody or shadowing a mentor who's already gotten to the destination that you want to get to. All the fastest people in the world, right? The Usain Bolts, your Johan Blakes, your Tyson Gays, right? All the best, most elite athletes in the world, right? Michael Jordan, Cristiano Ronaldo, Messi's, your LeBron Jameses. All of them hired not just agents, but also coaches, strength and conditioning coaches, dietitians. They hired people that can help them propel their skills and get to the destination much faster. Because if you're going to be doing this alone, right, you're not going to be reinvesting back into your skills of sales, you will most definitely hit a plateau, and everybody else who invests in themselves will push past you. So understand at the beginning, if you don't have the resources, right, to try and do everything for free or try to be as resourceful as you can be, right, but once you've reached a certain level, the only way that you can break that level is by reinvesting back into yourself. And that's not just with money, but that's also with time, of reinvesting back into your skills, learning new things, learning different techniques, learning new ways of handling objections, learning new ways of objection prevention, right? Getting different mentors on board so that you can break past certain levels that you wouldn't be able to break past if you just did everything by yourself. And the fifth thing, and the last mistake that I see a lot of people doing, is treating sales like it's a side hustle. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. This is not something that you can do for just 1 hour a day in terms of taking calls and make $10,000 a month with this. You've got to treat this like it's your baby. You've got to treat this like it's a real profession. And it's only by doing so that you can actually scale to the point where you're making $8,000, $10,000 a month, and also scale past that point as well. Right, so that is the exact 47-day framework that will take you from being an absolute beginner novice who knows nothing, zero, to being a proper professional in the space, earning $10,000 a month within that 47 days. Right, so let me recap a couple points for you. Number one, would be choosing your niche, learning the fundamentals, right, practicing your skills and getting trained on the framework. Number two, it's finding the companies, landing your position, getting your first few deals. And number three is scaling your income, right, optimizing for your close rate and then hitting your target of being able to get there. Opportunity in high ticket sales is massive. There are countless companies that are desperate, and I mean really desperate for skilled closers, right? So this opportunity is proven, right? And if you can consistently close at a 30% rate and you have the skills that are needed, you can basically write your own paycheck. You won't end up needing to have a college degree, right? You don't need to have years of experience. You just need to be coachable. You need to be committed, right, and willing to put in the hard work to learn this one high income skill. So here's my challenge for you. If you're completely serious about actually getting the freedom that you're looking for in life, pick your first niche today and reach out to your first 20 companies by the end of this week. I want you to take action. Don't just consume content, actually do the work, right? Because this is a legit profession that can give you the income and freedom that you're looking for, but that's only if you're committed to actually mastering the skill and putting in the hard work that you will be needing to put in. So if this video has helped, make sure that you like it, subscribe, comment down below anything else that you want me to speak about in terms of sales, right, and I'll go ahead and make a video on it. See you in the next one. Ciao, ciao.